All right, I want to talk about this upcoming project called the Ekonomi Biru, if I'm not mistaken. Can you tell us more about that project?
Well, bilateral relationships between Indonesia and Seychelles started at 1985. I mean, trade between Seychelles and Indonesia is there. Figure shows small, $30 million. But I think there are a lot of figures that you don't see too, directly between Seychelles and Indonesia. I can tell you because I can say most of the furnitures in Seychelles, I think it comes from Indonesia. Most of the hotel in Seychelles do procurement in Indonesia. But sometimes I saw unique cases when the architect come from other countries, the procurement go to the other countries. But then finally, it appears in a hotel in Seychelles. A lot of product of Indonesia have been traded in Seychelles, but maybe the traders may come from Malaysia or India. So there are a lot of things that don't do direct. Because less Indonesian visited Seychelles, and not too many Seychelles visited Indonesia too. So this is why we need to encourage the relationship. About 4 or 5 years ago, we developed a forum, which is called a Forum of Small Medium Economy Africa ASEAN. And we try to bring friends from Africa, friends from Asian countries to develop this forum because we believe Indonesia have a big potential of small medium economy. Seychelles likewise wants to develop the small medium economy. Africa countries also have a lot of small medium economy. If this small medium economy group can work closely, I think it get a more people to people connectivity. So it does not always have to go through the third world or the other countries, I mean, okay? So this is why we try to bridge this. As much as Seychelles is, we have a dream. Because we are strategically located in Indian Ocean, we should also profile ourselves as a hub for Indonesia to do transaction with Africa. If Indonesia can go to Seychelles and have all business done in Seychelles for Africa, so it saves a lot. You don't have to go to the 52 countries in Africa and travel around. Last year, I am with Secretary General of ASEAN. We visited Seychelles, and this is what we agree upon. And that is why we are trying to launch this year an Asian Africa Forums in Seychelles. Hopefully this program it materialize not only for Indonesia, but also for Asian countries to look at Seychelles as a hub to accelerate economy and people-to-people connectivity with Africa. Then I'll talk about ocean for you, okay? Yeah. When we talk about blue economy or economy biru, a lot of people always think that economy biru is only about preservation or conservation. The right word is not. If you look at the world, 70% of the world consists of water. That means there are more water than the land. When you are on the land, you can call yourself economy hijau because you are making your harvest, you are making your plantation, you are making your mining all from the land. That is economy hijau, green economy. Why you call it green economy? Because you have to preserve your land, otherwise your resource will dry up and finally you will collapse. So in order to do that, you need to explore, but you also need to regreen. That is why you call it green economy. Now in the ocean, something else different. Resource in the land, if you dig your coal will finish. If you drill your oil will finish. But God have gave a big ocean to you. You don't give food to the fish, right? But the fish keep on growing. You got my point? Yeah. That means it is an endless economy. There is always a fish for you to catch. But if you spoil your ocean is polluted, you spoil the biodiversity of the ocean, the underwater life of the ocean, what happened? The fish will die. The fish will fade out because the fish won't go away anyway. It will just disperse in the ocean. That is why you need to develop your ocean, but also you need to preserve the ocean at such that finally there is a sustainable living of the ocean. Being a small country like Seychelles, we come to an up-end economy. When you become up-end economy, you cannot go around and ask for help. So we need to improvise a new economy. And this new economy that we improvise is what we call blue economy. Why we improvise blue economy? Because we have such a big ocean, 1.4 million square kilometers of ocean, marine protected area, which we care and we protect. The subject is, whose ocean is this? The Seychelles ocean? No, it is the world ocean. So what I'm trying to say is we have been doing something for the ocean we share. The ocean we share with Indonesia, the ocean we share with the world. So if we preserve our ocean, we can gain value from the ocean. Because the marine protected area, the biodiversity, it all have money. It all have economy value. People will invest in protection area. People will invest in the value of the ocean, not only at the fish. So with this money that we raise, we can continue our work for conservation. We can empower and upgrade the economy of our coastal societies, build fishing boats, do processing economy, also build ecotourism. So what I'm trying to tell you is, you need tools to do this, because you need a banking network. No one will trust you just to give money to your ocean. So you need a banking system. You need appropriate financial tools. And I'm happy to say Seychelles is acknowledged by World Bank as the first country to launch the blue bonds. So we start our blue bonds in 2018. So this is a success story, but we cannot also launch too many blue bonds or too much blue bonds because our country is small, our leverage is limited. And this is the improvisation. This is something that we can share to friends like Indonesia, because you have big ocean. You have 17,000 over islands. You have a big archipelago of islands here, and the best practices of Seychelles is what we share. Today, I'm happy since last year we have started working harmoniously with the Ministry of Marine and Fishery of Indonesia. So we have identified a specific area as marine protected area, where we are going to convert the marine protected area as reserve. This reserve will generate revenue, and this revenue will become an income of the country, which can be used again for the coastal societies, for conservation, as well as for the fisheries economy.